always been true is contempt for you. If you ever listen to NPR, you know exactly how much contempt liberals have for you, and you get to pay for it. NPR takes your tax dollars and then lectures you about how immoral you are. That is liberalism distilled. It's been going on a long time. NPR has been running its particular scam since 1971, but the sneering tone you hear on NPR has been the hallmark of liberals for nearly a century. Liberals had contempt for Dwight Eisenhower, and for Barry Goldwater, and for Richard Nixon. Boy, did they, and for Gerald Ford even. If you're old enough to remember Ronald Reagan, you will recall vividly how liberals felt about him. Reagan was an idiot, they told you, a mouth breather, and so was anybody who would vote for him, very much including you. In the words of Al Gore, Republicans were the, quote, extra chromosome right wing. So they were literally genetically defective. That's how liberals
sound familiar.
Wherever two or more liberals are gathered, you will find sanctimony.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You may have noticed it recently. The pivot, and it was a pivot, came 6 years ago. It was during the 2016 presidential campaign. Liberals seem to lose any remaining sense of humor the moment Donald Trump arrived.
Exactly.
Why? Well, because he called their bluff. Looking back, it's obvious what happened. By 2016, no one could argue that liberal programs, or many programs,
were failing.
Fads and metaphorical wars we were waging on this or that bad thing. There was no evidence that any of it had done anything to improve American life. Liberals promised you they would make everything great, but they didn't. In fact, every single liberal enthusiasm failed.
Just
from
like
feminism to urban renewal,
sound like these times,
to the so-called sharing economy. All of them, each and every one, turned out to be a complete disaster. The reason 2016 was significant is that's the year liberals could no longer deny this. They couldn't say, give us another 50 years and we'll turn Baltimore into Geneva. They couldn't say that because no one would believe it, not even their own voters.
That's where we're at now. We don't believe a word they say.
So for liberals, 2016 was a profoundly humiliating moment. And those can be good. Well-adjusted adults learn from humiliating moments. That's not what liberals did.
Yeah.
They turned their rage outward, and they focused that rage on the people they had failed. You always hate the ones you betray. So liberals decided they hated the American middle class. In 2016, Democrats stopped making arguments in favor of their own policies, whatever those might be, and instead reoriented the entire party around attacking the very people that historically they had represented. Again, America's middle class. Now they hated them. At a fundraiser she thought was off the record, Hillary Clinton summed up the contempt all of them felt. Listen.
You could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. Racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it.
A gaffe. Yeah, in the sense she was telling you exactly
how they feel about us.
She meant every word of that.
Exactly.
She received was heartfelt too. They all felt that way. And that's why 2016 was the year that you and everybody else became
fuck you.
The worst slur they could think of. They used it every day of the 2016 campaign. Racist, racist, racist.
Exactly.
Well, in the end, and they hated this above all.
And they're going to do it again.
More non-white votes than any Republican presidential candidate ever, but they didn't stop. No,
they keep doing it.
Increased the volume. And by 2020, a lot of Americans were just exhausted. Fine, we'll vote for a mannequin if only you will calm down. That was the unspoken yet very clear deal.
Joe Biden is the mannequin, right?
The orange man. We will stop screaming and burning your cities.
And they didn't do that.
So people voted for Biden. Maybe not 81 million, but some people did. But Democrats didn't mean it. By January of last year, the Democratic Party had more power than at any time since FDR was president. But the telling point, the tip-off, was they didn't seem happy about it. If anything, they seemed angrier than ever. Why?
Started using it against us.
Faith in their own program. They controlled everything, but they had no interest in making things better. They were no longer interested at all in social improvement. Social Security, they bragged about that for almost 100 years. They stopped talking about it. Head Start, remember that? Improving public schools. These were all liberal enthusiasms. They tried them all, and none of them worked. So they moved in the other direction. Instead of trying to fix the country, they decided to destroy the country and just start over. If you were watching from outside, it looked like they were having a fit. They erupted into uncontrollable nihilistic rage. They swept the plates off the table, punched a hole in the drywall, threw a vase through the TV, burn it down, let's start over.
Exactly.
They called this the equity agenda. And you should have been nervous when you listened to them talk about it, because every time they talked about the equity agenda, they scowled. Joe Biden looked angry at his own inauguration. He had promised hope, but in the end, he delivered division and rage. This is Biden on the day he became president.
And now, a rise of political extremism, white supremacy, domestic terrorism, that we must confront and we will defeat.
See, now we're going to go after us, right? But that's what they've done.
That we're all created equal, and the harsh.
Anyone that didn't get the vaccine, you were, you know, a murderer.
Demonization.
See, everything they say that they do, they're doing to us.
The battle is perennial.
It's just...
What was that? That wasn't the deal. We got rid of the orange man, and you're still calling me racist?
Exactly.
Why are you doing that? Why aren't you trying to unite the country? Why don't you win over
That's not the plan. Get us fighting amongst each other, then they can do whatever they want.
Moved in the opposite direction at high speed.
Exactly.
They all of a sudden declared that trespassing was a felony and threw Trump voters in prison. A lot of them are still there. They said about politicizing the most heavily armed federal agencies, from the FBI to DHS to the Pentagon. That should make you nervous.
Our FBI and CIA, as far as I'm concerned, are butt fuckers. They can get Jeffrey Epstein in jail, but how many Jeffrey Epsteins have come across our border?
Why did demanding the government censor?
They couldn't save Mickey Mouse from Donald Duck. You fucking losers. And you DOJ, he's a butt fucker too. Going after parents, man.
Trump voters they claim to be afraid of.
Father in heaven is not looking good at you, motherfucker.
Congress just 6 years ago would have thought was way too extreme. And it wasn't just a few of them who did this. Virtually all of them did it.
Certain dates echo throughout history. December 7th, 1941.
Yeah, she's gonna compare Pearl Harbor to January 6th.
2021.
Similar to Pearl Harbor and 9/11.
Oh, we're so sick of all these people.
2021.
Father in heaven, take care of them, would you?
Live forever in infamy.
The worst attack on our
Please
democracy since the Civil War.
bury him. Every one of these people, Father, bury.
And this was the worst attack
They're anti-God, they're anti-American. Slay every one of them.
Attack on American democracy, arguably, probably since the Civil War.
The 1-6 attacks are likely to kill a lot more Americans.
What about the wide open border and all the Americans are going to get killed from your globalist policies?
It's so obviously untrue. And
Exactly.
They're all reading from the same
Script.
There has to be a purpose here. They're not doing this accidentally. People don't use identical chunks of language on the same day by accident. They thought this through. And
Exactly.
then people on television whose only qualification was their willingness to say things
To lie.
that 3 years ago would have been considered beyond the pale. And not just a few of them, a lot of them. Here's a former Trump administration lackey telling you with a straight face that the Republican Party is a bigger threat to this nation than Al-Qaeda or ISIS.
Radicalized elements of the Republican Party now represent a bigger threat to our democracy than organizations like Al-Qaeda or ISIS ever did. Now, not
These
necessarily
guys are
human
just
lives, not necessarily,
unbelievable.
but a bigger threat to our democracy than those
What a
terrorist groups
fucking evil liar.
So why are they talking this way? Well, what else are they going to talk about? Their record
The border.
for the last 60 years.
Our border, Afghanistan, our FBI and CIA butt fucking each other,
That the other side
and the DOJ bent over and they're all fucking each other, sucking off each other.
The problem is you have to up the ante in every election. If they're white supremacists this election, what are they next election? Nazis, and then what?
Yeah.
John Brennan, the former CIA director, said he looked forward to...
He's a butt fucker, isn't he? What an evil motherfucker. I'm sorry I'm swearing, but these fucking people, Father, you need to take them out, man. Literally, take these evil fuckers out. I pray right now in Jesus' name. They are fucking evil.
Are now moving in laser-like fashion to try to uncover
calling us evil, you fucking motherfuckers.
Similar to insurgency movements that we've seen overseas.
Yeah.
Where they germinate in different
I'll
parts
shut
of
up.
the country, and they gain strength, and it brings together an unholy alliance frequently.
I want them to hear
religious extremists, authoritarians,
how we feel.
Bigots, racists, nativists, even libertarians.
Yeah, now we're all racist.
That was the month that Joe Biden was inaugurated. The month you'd think liberals like John Brennan
would be happy.
Trump's departure. But again, they were...
No, then they're going to go after the rest of us.
So where's this going? Well, it's going the only place it ever could go. Democrats have reached the logical end of name-calling. Why? Because they've run out of epithets.
There's nothing...
Your political opponents of being Nazis, white supremacists, and then of treason... You have reached the limits of language. When you're dealing with someone who's committed treason, it is now a law enforcement matter. People are going to have to be physically punished. So not surprisingly, that is what they are now calling for. Arrest them! All of a sudden you're hearing a lot of liberals say that. Not just the crazies, but the mainstream people. Willard Mitt Romney, a man who's probably never used the F word in his entire life, is suddenly accusing Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii, one of the most reasonable people ever to serve in the body, of treason.
And she served in the military, faithful to our country, and that other...
Betraying her country, even as she serves it in uniform.
Oh, jeez.
What's the penalty for that? Well, it's prison, at least. Watch.
Tulsi Gabbard is being accused of spreading Russian false flag propaganda.
And I think DOJ, in the same way that it is setting up a task force to investigate oligarchs, should look into people who are Russian propagandists and shilling...
Oh, hell. Don't look into the hundreds of thousands of people crossing our border. We don't know who they are. Look into American citizens. You guys had enough of this? Have you getting enough? She is an evil bitch. Get on your broom and fly, bitch. You're just the only reason you're there on that show is because you're black. You are a loser.
But what was so surprising is that wasn't even considered much of a news story. It's that.
So you can spout off to your people, right? Well, your people think you're a piece of shit. Most of them.
Thomas's wife, Ginny Thomas, someone who, as far as we know, hasn't done anything wrong apart from marrying a man that liberals don't like. So even 5 years ago, if some liberal group was raising money on the idea Ginny Thomas should be arrested because she's married to Clarence Thomas, that would have seemed demented. Now it's just another cable news segment. Yeah. A lot of them are like that. Here's former Fox reporter Carl Cameron on CNN this weekend calling for us, this show, to be sent to prison because that's now the fair...
Yeah, that's all they have left. Let's just arrest him. Sound like that's what happens in China or Russia or anything.
In this particular
Unbelievable.
Case, Tucker has been screaming fire in a crowded movie house for years. And that cliche...
Tucker tells the truth, and they don't like the truth. That's why they're doing this. That's why I post Tucker on my YouTube channel. I post him on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram because they fucking hate Tucker, so I put him on there because I hate them. Two can play this game, bitch.
Take down and deplatform people who lie.
I've gotten 2 strikes on my YouTube channel for posting Tucker Carlson, just like I am now, about Dr. Fauci and all his fuck-ups, and I got a strike. 2 different strikes for posting Tucker Carlson on my YouTube channel. They said it went against the W Health Organization. So the W Health Organization decides what truth gets said on YouTube and what doesn't. Not American in our First Amendment of free speech.
To talk like that. Something worse.
Fucking motherfuckers. We're so sick of you fuckers. You guys got a payback coming back. You don't even know. The pendulum is coming, bitches. Karma's a bitch, and you motherfuckers are gonna pay. It's gonna be better than Madonna blowing up the White House. This'll be Father in Heaven's gonna take you fuckers out.
Really soon.
Ooh, and he's selective. He doesn't He doesn't have collateral damage. He takes you out, motherfucker, one at a time, bitch.
You're a white supremacist because you're a Nazi, you're Al-Qaeda.
Kamala Harris is going, oh, good, man. I hope he starts with Joe. Because that's the only way I'll be president. If that old goat dies.
Tucker, I think you've argued the point.